Greetings, I am JThomas. I'm a second-year accounting scholar from Baltimore, Maryland. And my chapter choice. So I'm going to start off. It wasn't an easy choice. There were some chapters where there weren't much happening, but I had to start off with chapter 1. Yes, chapter 1. Picking chapter 1's a little cliche. Yes. But I feel like chapter 1 really set the ground line and set the baseline. It also did a great job of setting the setting. Just having the back-to-back interviews, even calling Kanju his real name and seeing the raw emotion of that was great to see. And it gave us the historical context of how life was, while also really while also allowing us to make inferences and connections to what's going to happen, kind of see that foreshadow of what's going to happen, and kind of see how the author is going to play a role, even just being the interviewer and asking questions such as, did you have God back home? Like things like that. Like, that was really awesome. And I had to go with chapter 5. Chapter 5 was filled with action, very action-packed chapter. I know it was very gruesome and a lot to unpack because a lot happened. You could see the deception. We could see just everybody fleeing, to be honest. And it really made the imagery of they're living in a living inferno. It just looked like it gave us the image that their whole village was on fire, literally and physically and figuratively. So yeah, I chose those 2 chapters because I feel like I could dive really deep into the mastermind behind the operation, Zora Neale Hurston. Just reading her biography, she's amazing. Like, she said a couple things like, you don't know us Negroes. And I felt that. Like, they really don't know the struggle we go through on a day-to-day basis. And really, just seeing how she grew up around a lot of Black achievement, and how Kanju, he grew up around a lot of Black achievement. His grandfather, like, he really saw everything going on. Like, Zora grew up with 300 people being able to swim, Black people. And you know the stereotype that Black people can't swim. So it really ties into, you don't really know us. We can do more than you really think. And just like Kanju, we're more than just a weapon, a resource. We're bigger than that. We have so much substance to us and so much culture that people try to destroy. And I feel like Zora played a great role in the interview process, interviewing Kanju. She really did a great job in getting to those raw questions that will make you think, like, as a person. I'm African American, and I'm not really tied into my roots. So this really was really touchy because I'm African American. I don't know my roots. I don't know how far they go back because that was lost. It was lost. So this really was a touchy subject. And Zora, let's talk about it. Zora, as a writer, her friends describe her as being able to walk into people's hearts. She does that. She opens that. She opens people's hearts because she knows what people want to see and what people want to hear and what people want to see written down. She knows what's going to intrigue the audience and what's going to keep the audience keep wanting to read. So ultimately, Zora, she's mastermind, because at the end of the day, she walked right into my heart. And when she asked the question, like, did you have God back in your home, your homeland? I was like, because when times get tough, as a religious person, we tend to not thank God, praise God, as we did when times are good. So this really hit deep because I was like doing some reflecting, doing some connection. Like, we need to do better. So yeah, she's a mastermind. She really keeps our audience engaged. So about slavery, and we know how slaves were basically brought over from our homeland to the Americas, South America, North America, different parts of America. But a lot of times we don't know the actual treatment that happened. And I feel like Zora does a good job asking Kanju what happened. And Kanju does a good job explaining what happened and exactly what happened. Like the beheadings that happened when they came into the village and took over. And a lot of times people don't talk about the different deceptions and the different tactics they use. Like, they were simply just asking for a king, and who knew the next day the king was going to be dead. And it's really like mind-boggling because in school we get the watered down version. We don't get the raw, uncut version. But yeah, so I think Zora did a good job. Zora did a good job of being able to connect the overall treatment to American history, because that part of American history is missing. It's missing, which is horrid. Horrid. I'm not gonna say horrible. It's horrid. It's a disgrace. And that's why I feel like these AP courses that we need to be taking and things like that are so necessary. I think we need African American AP course, African American history as AP course, because it teaches us the raw, uncut. But also, I think Zora did a good job explaining the cultural disconnect a lot of us have. Like, I'm a big example of that. There's a big disconnect with me and my homeland. I'm not in tune with my roots. I don't even know where I'm from, and that's just been washed away year after year after year after year, and it's just thin. It's very thin. So I feel like she's speaking, like that part in the story. It speaks, because ultimately, if we're not passing something down from our culture back in our homeland, it just trembles down, which is sad. But we have to do a better job at make sure we go back to our culture, go back to our roots. So I could give a summary about everything that happened in chapter 1, chapter 5, just going down the line. Like, Cujo, Zora went to go visit him. He started speaking about his family, his childhood, things like that. But that's not what I want to get into. I want to get into why chapter 1 was so important. So, chapter 1 is so important. It gives us context about his childhood, how life was at home before everybody came in and stole everything from him. Stole his culture. Stole his manhood. Stole his opportunity to live free with dignity. They stole it from him. Which is outrageous, and it blows me to this day, because as a black male, we know every day we're stripped of freedom, and we can't live completely free. But just knowing when we're back home and we're around everybody that looks like us, and their freedom is taken from them just because the color of their skin, just because the things that they have, Just the resources that they have are so rich that people want to come in and take it from them because people are greedy. It really shows the greed of people. It shows how everybody wants money, control, and power. And chapter one really does a good job explaining how everybody wants power, but being free and having power are not equal. I feel like there's more power in being free than having power. And ultimately, Kojo didn't get the choice at both of them. Because you can see what happened in chapter 5, where everybody they basically stole his identity from him. They stole his culture from him. They stole his background from him. And said, come with me. I'm going to kill everybody that's tied to you. Come with me, and we're going to go. No ifs, ands, or buts. If you don't go, you're killed with them. And that's crazy to me. So, just tying chapter 1 and chapter 5 together, Kojo talks about how life is good. He wasn't, his father wasn't the richest man, but life was decent. To going into life is hell. Life was not good. I know some people talked about they'd rather be dead than go live under somebody else. You're always the bottom barrel compared to somebody else. And that's the significance of chapter 1 and chapter 5. Chapter 1 sets it up. Chapter 1 says how the setting was. And chapter 5 rips the setting. Rips it in half. And starts a new setting. So, I'm going to tell you the real reason why this is important. Because it gives us the will to fight. Fight for freedom. Keep fighting every day to be equal in society. And you can't fathom how much our ancestors went through. And it shows the raw, uncut. Like, I went to a primarily white school. So, just seeing the raw, uncut, not watered down version of African American history, seeing how much I'm tied, see how much my ancestors had to go through to really be free, to be a person in society, a society they didn't choose to be a part of. It's important for us to learn this stuff so we can really see how evil people can really be in society, how much power and money can control somebody, can control a population to do unhumane stuff. And so we're not blinded by it. Like, if you look down my history textbooks, none of this stuff said beheadings. None said beheadings. None said the rich Africans were rich. None. The only thing they said, they had rich resources. They didn't talk about the class system. They didn't talk about the wealthy being an officer in society in Africa. They didn't talk about that. Only thing they wanted to talk about, to dim it down, yeah, we went and rounded them up and took them to Americas. But that's not the truth. Y'all rounded some of us up. The young ones. You killed women, children, men, elderly. People were trying to get to safety. Killed them right on their doorstep, right at the gate. Which is insane to me. So I feel like we need to know this. So every time a situation happens with police brutality, lynching, all of this in society, we know. Our ancestors had to go through this on a daily basis. So we don't need to just sit back and relax. We need to fight back. We need to do better as a whole.